Hello everyone, welcome back to Horror Mystery Rewind. Today we will talk about the fantasy movie Conquering the Demons released in 2013. Please let us know if the explanation of the movie is okay or any changes are needed. Spoilers ahead, enjoy and take care of yourself. A young girl is playing on the shores of a lake in a Chinese fishing village long ago while her father gets ready to start the day's job. As soon as he notices the girl crying because her father is going once more, he jumps into the water and starts playing about, making her smile once more. The man suddenly starts shaking wildly inside the lake, and soon, something from underneath starts dragging him around through the water. Until the man vanishes and all that is left is blood in the river, the daughter laughs on, unaware that her father is in trouble. The locals hire a demon hunter right away, and as he starts chanting and tossing bombs into the lake, there is an enormous explosion in the water as everyone looks in amazement. After successfully capturing a massive stingray, the hunter believes that the animal was possessed by the same entity that killed the last victim. The villagers are overjoyed that the monster has been captured, but someone in the crowd informs them that the fish is actually only a normal stingray. Tang, a demon hunter and monk's disciple, is the one who claims this. When the other demon hunter hears this, he immediately accuses Tang of working with the demon. As a result, the villagers viciously attack Tang and eventually tie him up as punishment. Everyone starts to jump into the water because they think it's safe, and Tang just stands there and looks at them. Their joy is short-lived as everyone watches in shock as a woman is eaten by a huge beast. The villagers start to run toward the beach in the mistaken belief that they are safe as long as they are out of the water, but the monster rapidly disproves their assumption as it captures them with its tongue. The young girl from earlier tries to flee toward her mother, but the thing seizes the opportunity and tries to drag her into the sea by grabbing onto her. The villagers try to catch the young girl on the edge of the bridge and cut off the monster's tongue as they run to aid her, but the monster leaps up and grabs the child in its mouth. In a fit of rage, the mother dives into the lake, trying desperately to save her daughter, as Tang starts to cut himself free from the ropes. She sees the gigantic monster emerge from the sea, shaking with rage as it stares at the woman, and she is frozen with horror. She begs the monster to give her child back, but all it does in exchange is to eat her up as well. A baby slides away from his mother and into the water as the monster destroys the adjacent buildings, knocking everyone off their feet. Fortunately, Tang manages to free himself and leaps down close to the platform, causing the kid to slip in his direction instead. He holds the baby as the enormous beast throws itself in his direction, but Tang is able to flee just in time, trap the creature, and then use its weight to leap toward the crowd. When Tang returns the child to his mother, he only notices that the bogus demon hunter is running away like a coward. A huge girl emerges from the masses, shaking the ground as she moves, and jumps straight toward the monster. Before the pretend demon hunter can flee, the enormous woman jumps onto the platform and knocks the thing into the air, where it lands directly on top of the man. The creature slowly starts to change itself, eventually becoming a young guy who seems innocent. The people attempt to slay the demon when they see this, but Tang puts a halt to the violence and provides a solution. The man prepares to use his musical abilities to transform the monster from evil to good by pulling out a variety of instruments and a book called The 300 Nursery Tales. The devil and the audience are both confused when Tang starts singing horribly. The man's act and words were so awful that they drove the demon insane, causing him to start bashing on the man violently and breaking everything in his path. Before Tang is killed, a lady seizes the demon and starts beating it. Eventually, the monster is sealed inside a mystical robe and transformed into a doll. The woman, whose name is Duan, turns out to be one of the demon hunters as well, but when Tang shows her the weapons he uses to defeat the demons, she wildly mocks him as the rest of the villagers praise her as their genuine hero. Tang is disappointed by the outcome, but his master reassures him that turning evil into goodness is never simple. He informs the monk that there is a second demon that he must defeat, one that resides in a local restaurant and cooks with human flesh. Tang gets to the demon's restaurant at night time and enters the restaurant to discover that it is crowded with customers who are taking in their meals. He is greeted by a woman who begins to show him around, but Tang is able to see through the illusions right away and tells her to show her true form. Tang flees in fear as the monster charges at him, but he is spared when Duan appears and brutally punches the woman, eventually reducing her into dust. She starts attacking everyone within the restaurant, destroying the demons one at a time with her rings. A young man comes up behind the woman as she calls for the boss to emerge, but Duan instantly responds and starts fighting the demon as they trade terrible blows. Gaining the upper hand, the woman punches the man across the room. Then, after generating countless rings, she starts to fire them at the demon with deliberate aim towards his face, eventually shattering his skin and revealing a pig's snout. The demon begins blocking all her attacks using the rake and closing the distance towards the woman. He swings at Duan violently, forcing her to defend herself, but manages to strike her in the flesh as she flees just in time. The monster is forced to reveal its true form, which is a demon pig, as Duan leaps from behind him and starts kicking him. Locking the creature's arms, she stops him from moving while yelling for Tang to assist. Duan needs Tang to extract the demon's essence from the pig because he has imprisoned it inside his throat. Looking at the monster's terrible face makes it incredibly difficult for the man to gather up the guts to finish the assignment. Fortunately, Tang stumbles into this chaos by accident and kisses the pig and sucks the demon inside his mouth. Duan swiftly removes the man's essence and places it in her bag for sealing. The demon, however, is too strong to contain and starts to enlarge. Eventually, it breaks out and reveals itself in monstrous form. The two flee as the building collapses around them. As they go to a lakeside location, they manage to flee the demon. Duan collapses from the anguish of her wounds and she instructs Tang to apply pressure to her wounds in order to stop the bleeding, which Tang was able to accomplish at the cost of bleeding himself, but it doesn't seem like he minds all that much. Tang runs away from Duan as soon as she closes her eyes and leans in for a kiss because he realizes that he is a monk and doesn't want to be responsible for any future child support payments. The following day, Tang returns to his master and informs him that he has failed once more. The master advises the boy to seek assistance from the Demon King in order to defeat the pig monster. This mighty being is reportedly known as Wukong, who was imprisoned by the gods 500 years ago beneath a huge mountain for wreaking devastation in the heavens. At night while traveling inside the forest, Tang runs into a trap set by a group of people who appear to be extremely hostile, but it turns out that they all work for Duan, and she plans to force the monk to marry her no matter what. Tang declines, stating that he is unable to love her since the monk's ethic requires him to love everyone in this world equally. Duan locks the man inside in a fit of wrath as he muses over what to do with him next. Her sister tries to persuade her to adopt a more feminine persona and utilize her dancing to draw the man, but after witnessing her awful dance steps, the lady decides to put a gemstone on Duan and make preparations to control her motions while luring the monk. Duan visits her crush, but things rapidly go wrong as the charm starts to break. As a result, the lady continuously strikes the protagonist until the charm unintentionally lands upon him. Duan leaves the room feeling guilty, but when the sister starts dancing, Tang imitates her body movements in front of the guards, who have just entered. The men start beating the monk up again after noticing his absurd movements and only stop when the sister runs inside and realizes something is amiss. When they notice that the pig demon has arrived, their enjoyment is cut short, and the party immediately boards their vehicle and makes a desperate attempt to flee for their lives. The pig, nevertheless, manages to catch up and rushes right at the group. Before the demon smashes into the group and shatters everything, Duan notices this and tosses the monk off the car. Fortunately, nobody was wounded in the collision, but the demon swiftly surrounds them because it wants to exact revenge on their gang leader for their earlier conflict. The demon is suddenly forced to flee as a man with a tiger's aura charges towards it and starts to dominate it. He throws the monster into the air and kicks it viciously. The man is shown to be a demon hunter as well, and he is accompanied by the mighty Foot, Prince Important, and his 4 stunning nannies, whom he orders to always throw flowers. However, his servant often makes him feel bad by calling him a Prince Important and seems to have trouble obeying directions. Tang is extremely enraged by the three's argument over who gets to kill the pig demon since he believes they are simply doing it for money and ego and are not real demon hunters. Tang yells at Duan for wasting his time and demands that she return the children's rhymes that she had taken. The woman is enraged by this and tears the book to bits before flinging it in the air. She lashes out at Tang and tells him that if it weren't for her, he would have died a long time ago. Tang gets up in silence and sees that Duan is trying to flirt with the prince in order to make him jealous but begins walking away as the girl looks at him in sadness. Tang eventually reaches a mountain that is covered in lily pads despite the lack of water after wandering across the regions for a very long period. He jumps in after spotting a giant lily flower growing through what looks to be a hole in the wall and is met by a crazy-looking man who continuously hugs and loves him. When Tang recognizes that it must be Wukong, he tries to seek his assistance in destroying the pig demon, but the guy is just concerned with escaping and makes a last-ditch effort to deceive the monk into removing the seal by stating that it can contain the monster. However, Tang does not fall for the petty tricks, causing Wukong to try to escape in frustration, but the root in the cave traps the demon inside and begins wiping him for disobedience. Tang begins to feel sorry for the man and offers him a banana, which softens the demon a bit as he begins telling the monk how to defeat the pig monster. Because the demon used to love his wife tremendously, they need to get a beautiful woman to dance under the moonlight, which will attract the monster towards the cave, allowing Wukong to trap it inside as well. Suddenly, Duan jumps into the cave after hearing about their plan and offers to be the bait for the pig demon. Tang sees the woman and tells her to get out, but Wukong begins flirting with her as he teaches her to dance. It's quite evident that the monk truly does love the woman, as he feels great discomfort at the sight of the affectionate display. At night, Duan begins dancing under the moonlight as the monk plays the music for her. The man watches the woman as he falls deeper in love with every move that she makes. Soon, they hear a monstrous roar and see that the pig demon has arrived. Wukong begins talking with creatures from inside the cave, causing the monster to peek under the lilies, only to be sucked in completely by the sealing of the gods. Duan turns the pig demon into a doll and gives both monsters to Tang, allowing him to use his nursery rhymes to convert the evil creatures. She puts a ring on the monk and wants to marry him, but Tang becomes extremely upset and would rather cut off his own finger than be in a relationship with her. Duan sees this and takes off the ring herself, trying to give back the nursery rhyme that she glued back together, but the monk refuses the book in anger. The woman sees the man's conviction and leaves in tears, promising to not follow him anymore in the future. Tang walks out from the cave and looks towards the moon in sadness, suffering from the pain of his true feelings. He hears Wukong asking for a favor to remove the lily flower which blocks the entrance, as he wants to enjoy the moonlight as well. The monk cuts off the flower, but immediately notices something wrong as all the lilies are consumed in flames. Wukong laughs maniacally inside the cave, before finally breaking free in a ball of fire that lands directly in front of the monk. He grabs the man and tosses him away like a rag doll, before catching him again under the mountain, mocking the man for being so easily tricked to unleash the Demon King. Tang tells the monkey demon that he hasn't escaped, as the Buddha is watching everything even at this moment. In a fit of rage, Wukong begins ripping off the monk's hair violently, eventually leaving nothing left, but is furious that the man's will is still intact. Suddenly, the demon feels a presence behind and sees that the 3 demon hunters have arrived. The Fist of the North Star prepares to attack the Demon King, but Wukong launches forward and quickly kills the man as he bites down on the hunter's throat. The mighty foot sees this and begins transforming, growing a giant leg the size of a school bus, and kicks the monkey demon with immense force, knocking him backwards. The old man jumps in the air and storms at Wukong, but the monkey king pierces right through his feet and kicks the old man into the air, sending him right on top of the prince. He tells the nannies to throw away the old man, and begins throwing numerous swords at the demon, forcing Wukong to escape into the air as the weapons continue to follow and attack wherever he goes. The demon takes out his weapon as well, and begins knocking the swords away, but the prince combines all the weapons into one and sends it flying towards the monkey. The attack is so powerful that it begins breaking apart the demon's staff, but eventually hits a wall when it makes contact with the monkey and gets shattered into pieces. Wukong roars at the attackers furiously, creating a shock wave that turns the demon hunters into dust. He turns his attention towards the monk, but surprisingly, Duan jumps out and begins defending the man even after what he said to her. The woman starts using her rings to assault Wukong, but once they hit the Demon King, they all break apart. As she rushes the monkey, Wukong easily prevents her by smacking her in the head, sending her flying backwards. Duan asks Tang in a whisper if he has ever loved the woman as he slides toward her. The monk breaks down in tears and confesses to Duan that he has loved her ever since they first met. As Tang holds her, kisses her, and puts her ring on his finger after hearing the man's confession, Duan eventually passes away with tears in her eyes. Wukong snatches the girl's body and throws it in the air, shattering it into numerous pieces before Tang can finish weeping. The demon suddenly senses something is off and retreats, only to discover that Tang has finally let go of all links to the mortal world. The monk starts chanting to the lines in the book that Duan put together as he reads it, growing a huge Buddha that watches over the entire world. The enormous statue starts to extend its palm toward the globe, sending a huge shockwave into the atmosphere and setting fire to its hand in the process. When Wukong notices this, he decides not to give up. He concentrates all of his strength into becoming King Kong, who suddenly emerges, towering over everything and screaming loudly. As the enormous palm gets closer to the demon and closer, Wukong tries to lift the Buddha at the last second, stopping the strike as he strains under the tremendous weight. The demon, however, is no match for the god's strength and is squashed under the huge hand. When Tang ultimately defeats the demon, Wukong is transported to another dimension. He then goes on to remove Duan's ring and fasten it on the monkey's head, converting the demon into his new pupil. Tang is then informed by the monk's master that he is now prepared to travel to the west. In order to relieve humanity's suffering, he will travel to India with the demons who are now his disciples and bring back the sacred texts.
If you like the video, subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and click on like to help the channel out. Thank you and take care.